brothers in Islam.
Brothers, man.
Yeah. Today, as we all can see, we have a very special guest with us, and I'm sure we all know the reason why he's here. But then, before we start, being a very important religious event, I would like us to start with a recitation from the Holy Quran. And a brother here to help us do that is Brother Motaz. Please come forward for the mic.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم واخشوا يوما لا يجزي والد عن ولده ولا مولود هو جاز عن والده شيئا إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور إن الله عنده علم الساعة وينزل الغيث ويعلم ما في الأرحام وما تدري نفس ماذا تكسب غدا وما تدري نفس بأي أرض تموت إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Brother Motaz. Yeah, so now we can set up with a program for today. And I scribbled down a very short program for today, and I apologize for not making it available for everyone because of the time constraint. But I believe each one of us will bear with us because we just took over the affairs of ICCS. And the second point is we had to have a welcome address by Brother Sato, but Brother Sato is not yet in. So, Brother Aldi, is he okay? Just to have a very short word of welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let's be pray to Allah that we can come together here to listen lecture from our beloved brother Dr. Ragheb El-Sarkani. This come from Nagoya this morning. Welcome to Sendai, brother. And then, first of all, maybe let me introduce for myself. I'm Ardiansa from Indonesia, and now for the new committee, I select for as Vice President of ICCS. Actually, I hope I can do this job for at least for 1 year. And then, today is we will listen our brother to talk about the truth about Islamic history. So I hope you can listen carefully, and then if there is some question about that, please ask Dr. Ragheb El-Sarkani. And then, as President ICCS mentioned previously that will come later, and then for the ICCS arrange for this, we will sorry if it's something it's not properly. Then let's continue this program. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Brother Arbi. His role here was to give a welcome address, and he has adequately done so. And let me quickly give a brief introduction of our guest today. As the name goes, he's Dr. Ragheb from Egypt. Actually, he's a professor of Cairo University. And surprisingly, he told me that he's in the field of urology. That is quite something surprised to me, because I was thinking he was a full-time religious preacher, but then he has also a profession which is well respected. So we welcome him today, and as we all know, he has been to many places in Japan already, and this is our time. He's got this to do for us, and I'm sure we are all ears today to listen to what he has for us. And as Brother Aldi said, we will have first the lecture by Dr. Ragheb, and then after there will be some questioning time. So I'm sure we are going to listen carefully and jot down some points which we want to ask afterwards. So welcome again, Dr. Ragheb, and there the ball is in your court.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, actually I'm very happy to be among you, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make these moments in our school. And actually you have a very beautiful masjid. It's the largest so far I saw in Japan. So it is a bliss from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to thank it. We have to make it busy. This masjid inshallah will with us. Today inshallah we're going to speak about a lecture with the title that is about Islamic history. And somebody may ask why we talk about history. Some brothers and sisters say we should live in our present time and think of the future. Why we think and study the history? I say, number one, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to study history. He said in Quran, فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. هذا أمر, is an order, clear order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَصَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So tell the stories. They may think. They may take the benefits, take the lessons from the history of the previous nation, history of those who preceded us in the humanity. We can take the lessons not to repeat the mistakes of them and to repeat the righteous work and deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make a way in His controlling to this universe. This way is a fixed way, sunnah, fixed ways to govern this earth and govern the whole universe. And by studying history, the history actually repeats itself. So by studying history, you can predict and know the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He used to change the situation of any ummah or any nation. He can subhanahu wa ta'ala change the situation of a weak ummah into a powerful ummah using the same fixed rules or same fixed ways. Sunan ثوابت. You will find no change to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا. By studying history, you can know and predict and be expert in the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. in spite of this importance, of this utmost importance of the history, unfortunately, the Islamic history suffers from severe ignorance of the Muslims, and at the same time, it suffers from severe fabrication and forgery and distortion of our enemies. And sometimes the enemies are among the Muslims themselves. They wrote the history wrongly, they changed the facts, and they brought to us a history that most of us are shy from their Islamic history. Actually, we know, I guess, maybe less than 10% of our Islamic history. And this 10% is perceived wrongly, actually. We used to perceive our Islamic history from a political point of view, from a military point of view. We know the disputes and fights between the Muslims. We know the corrupted caliphs, but actually we don't know the nice and the beautiful aspect of our Islamic history. For example, the scientific aspect of our Islamic civilization. Today, inshallah, we're going to speak about one aspect of our Islamic civilization, which is the scientific aspect of the Islamic civilization. It is very important and very strange, actually, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among more than 6,000 verses in the Quran, He chose the word read to start with. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. He chose this order from a lot of orders in the Quran to start with our curriculum, the Quran al-Kareem, is this word, important word, to give the indication that our nation, our Ummah, al-Ummah al-Islamiyya, our nation is built over the base of knowledge. And the era before Islam is known as the era of Jahiliyyah, ignorance. And when Islam came, this is the era of knowledge. And from the day one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started our curriculum with the word read, and 5 verses, all of them talking about the issue of knowledge. Read in the name of your Lord who created man from clods. Read, and your Lord is the most honorable, who taught by the pen. He taught man what he did not know. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed five verses. All the verses are talking about the issue of knowledge. If you look to the slide, you will find the word al-ilm, knowledge, is repeated with its derivatives 3 times. Taught and know, all of them are talking about knowledge, al-ilm. The word read is repeated twice, and the word pen is repeated once. So the issue of knowledge is mentioned 6 times in only 5 verses. This is a very important matter and issue in the Islamic understanding. And the process continued. The importance of knowledge continued throughout all verses of Quran, through the all years that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeated the word knowledge in the Quran al-Kareem an amazing number, actually. How much you guess the word knowledge and its derivatives, al-ilm, and its derivatives came in the Quran? Subhanallah, it came 779 times. Very strange. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeated the same word with its derivatives 779 times, with the average of 7 per surah. And it comes in the second rank immediately after the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the most repeated word in the Quran, Allah. The second one immediately is knowledge, al-ilm. And this gives us the importance of this base. the knowledge. Our grandfathers and forefathers and scholars understand this fact very accurately. This is why knowledge is reflected over every aspect of their life. This is why the Muslims, alhamdulillah, introduced to the world the concept of public library. Before Islam, there is no public library. Libraries are specialized for scholars. It's not open for the public. But after Islam, alhamdulillah, we built the public libraries, a huge library that's open for anyone, for any man, for any woman, for Muslims, for non-Muslims, in every field of science. Not only in fiqh and sharia and branches of religion, but also in medicine, geometry, astronomy, geography, any field of medicine and any field of science. And the library #1 in the world was the library of Baghdad, and it continued to be the library #1 in the world for 500 years, 5 consecutive 100 years. It's very important library in the history, not in the history of the Muslims only, but also in the history of the whole mankind. The library of Baghdad contains an amount of books you will never imagine. You will never imagine actually millions and millions of books in this huge library, and this is an imaginary picture of this library. Huge library contains a lot of halls, a lot of division. Each division contains a huge number of books, and I'll give you another picture to just imagine the size of this library. This is Dijla River. When in Iraq, when the Mongolian attack, the Mongols and Tatar, when they invaded Baghdad, they tried to cross from the east bank to the west bank of this river. They failed because there is no bridge at that time in this area. So they went to Baghdad's library and took the books from Baghdad library and threw the books in the river to make a bridge of books for their army. Imagine the amount of books that can make a bridge from the east to the west of this river for an army, not for a person, but for an army, the Tatarian or the Mongolian army. It's actually amazing. The color of the river turned black for days and days from the ink of the books of the Muslims. The second library in the world, public library in the world, was the Library of House of Knowledge in Cairo. And this library was built in the 3rd Hijri century, 1100 years ago. And it contains 40 divisions. And each division contains, subhanAllah, more than 40,000 books in each division. So it gives a number maybe exceeding 1 million of books in one library. And it is not the only library in Cairo. It is one library in Cairo. We have a lot of libraries, the same quality or approaching this quality and size. And also the same regarding Baghdad's library. It's not the only library in Baghdad, it's one library among a huge number of libraries in the same city. The third library in the world was the Library of Cordoba, also a Muslim library. It contains 500,000 books in one library. And when the Crusaders invaded Cordoba in 636, they took the books from Cordoba library and burned them in the squares of Cordoba. And they repeated the same action in Tripoli, Tarabulus in Lebanon. When they invaded the Crusaders, when they invaded Tarabulus or Tripoli in Lebanon, they took the books from the libraries and they burned it in 7 days, 3 million books in the Islamic city, Tarabulus or Tripoli. So imagine the importance of reading in the Islamic civilization, importance of books, importance of science and knowledge in every domain of science and every field of knowledge. These are public libraries. These are libraries owned by the government and open for the public. If we talk about the private libraries in the Islamic civilization, private libraries are libraries owned by individuals, owned by some scholars. For example, the library owned by Abu Fadl ibn al-Amid, one of the major scholars of our Islamic civilization. He owns a lot of books. When he moved from one city to another city, he needed to carry with him his books. He needed 100 camels to carry his books. Imagine the size of his library. The size of library needed 100 camels to carry the books to another city. And the same happened with Al-Wahidi, one of the scholars who used to make tafsir of Al-Quran Al-Kareem. When he moved, he put his boxes in great boxes. Each box needs 2 men to carry, and he put his boxes in 60 boxes. So he needed more than 100 men to carry his library. And As-Sahib ibn Abbad, also one of the major scholars in Islamic civilization. I'll transmit to you the word of Walt Durant. You know Walt Durant is one of the famous American historians. He said, As-Sahib ibn Abbad, this Muslim scholar, owns books more than the books in whole Europe in his era. Imagine, one man, one scholar in our Islamic civilization owns and has in his home books that exceeds the number of books in whole Europe in his era. Subhanallah. If we talk about the medicine in Islamic civilization, for example, the Muslims, alhamdulillah, introduced the concept of the hospital to the world. The first hospital in the world was a Muslim hospital. It was built in Damascus, in Syria, and it was built in the era of Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik, one of the caliphs of the Umayyan state. And it was specialized in leprosy, specialized hospital. It was built in the first Hijri century, 1300 years ago, and it preceded the first European hospital by 900 years. Imagine. The gap between us and them in the field of medicine is 900 years. The first European hospital was built in Paris, in France, after the first Muslim hospital by 900 years. Also, we introduced the concept of surgical suturing during surgery to the world. We are the inventors of surgical sutures, invented by Al-Razi, rahimahullah, in the 3rd Hijri century, 1100 years ago. He synthesized these sutures from the guts of the cat, and he named it cat gut, and it's still used till now with the same name, cat gut, chromic cat gut, still used in some countries till now. He invented this suture, and he was able to do a lot of successful operations. Also, we introduced the concept of surgical endoscopy. The first surgical endoscope was invented by Zahrawi. Actually, Zahrawi is the first physician in the world to be specialized in surgery. And he invented a lot of surgical instruments, exceeding 200 surgical instruments. And he is the inventor of the surgical endoscope. And he was able to visualize the interior of the urinary bladder of a man. And he was able to crush a stone inside his bladder to make a successful operation to treat a man from a stone, bladder stone in his urinary bladder. Also, we are the discoverer of the pulmonary circulation, and it is a nice story. Inshallah, we'll talk about after 2 or 3 slides. And let us imagine the size of the library of Ibn Tulun Hospital. It is a library specialized only in medicine. Contains books only specialized in medicine. How much books it contains? SubhanAllah, it contains 100,000 books. All of them are specialized in medicine. In 3rd Hijri century, 1100 years ago. So it's very specialized. Actually, it's a university, very specialized in medicine and pharmacology, and it was in Cairo, Egypt. These are some surgical tools used by Zahrawi. Most of them are invention of him, 1,000 years ago. And these are also some surgical tools used by him. And these tools actually are present in the museums of Europe, not in the museums of Islamic countries. Unfortunately, most of the surgical and any equipments used in our civilization, even the original manuscripts of our civilization, most of them are present in Europe, not in our countries. When the European armies invaded our countries in the 19th and 20th centuries, they took everything related to knowledge. They took everything to Europe and deprived us from these treasures and put them in the museums of Paris, of London, of Bern, of Berlin, Frankfurt. Anywhere there in Europe you can see the treasure of the Muslims, but it's not in our Islamic country, unfortunately. Look to this beautiful description of the anatomical dissection of the eye. Very delicate dissection, drawn by Ibn al-Haytham. This picture is drawn 800 years ago. Very clear anatomy, showing the cornea, the lens, the retina, the optic nerve, the central control. Amazing picture actually. It's very delicate anatomy. Very detailed anatomy of the eye in this era. SubhanAllah, it's very amazing. Ibn Nafis, who discovered the pulmonary circulation, and the discovery of pulmonary circulation actually has a nice story. Ibn Nafis criticized the theory of Al-Jalinos. Al-Jalinos, one of the major Greek physicians, who put a theory that blood goes from the right ventricle to the left ventricle in the heart through a hole between the two ventricles. And Ibn Nafis criticized this theory, and he started to dissect the heart to find the hole that Al-Jalinos speaks about. And he did not find the hole between the two ventricles. And he started to dissect the lung, and he found that the blood goes from the right ventricle to the lung, then to the left ventricle. So he discovered the pulmonary circulation and what we call it, the minor blood circulation. And this is one page of the original manuscript of Ibn Nafis. He wrote everything in a paper, very important scientific paper, to describe the discovery of the pulmonary circulation. This work of Ibn Nafis was translated by one of the scholars of Italy. His name is El Bago, for years and years, till one Spanish scholar, his name is Cervantes, come and translated the work of El Bago into Spanish language. And he claimed that he is a discoverer of the pulmonary circulation. And Cervantes came after Ibn Nafis by 300 years. And he claimed he is a discoverer of pulmonary circulation. He propagated this idea everywhere, and the world for years and years and centuries believed that Cervantes is a discoverer of pulmonary circulation. Till 70 or 80 years ago, when one of the Egyptian scholars, his name is Muhyiddin Tatawi, he went in a scholarship to Germany to study some researches about the pulmonary circulation. And he believed, as the others, as Servetus is a discoverer of pulmonary circulation. And subhanAllah, by chance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in front of him the original manuscript of Ibn Nafis. It was in Berlin Library. And he started to compare the Ibn Nafis manuscript with Servetus manuscript. And he found the work of Servetus is rough translation of the work of Ibn Nafis. And Ibn Nafis preceded Servetus by 300 years. He declared that Ibn Nafis is a discoverer of pulmonary circulation. It was a very huge surprise in Germany, and they started to look for this new information. And after years, they found that the Egyptian physician Muhyiddin al-Qawi is right, and Ibn Nafis is actually the discoverer of the pulmonary circulation. Alhamdulillah, we found that, but I think there is a lot of inventions and a lot of achievements of the Muslims that are stolen by the others. I have a lot of examples for this, and this is only one example. We need a lot of work to discover the work of our grandfathers and our scholars. This is a picture of one page of Al-Qanun, Ibn Sina or Avicenna, one of the major scholars in medicine in the history. Actually, the most important medical references in the world in 700 years, in 7 consecutive centuries. All of them are Islamic references. Number 1 is Al-Hawi by Al-Razi. Number 2 is Al-Tasrif by Zahrawi. Al-Tasrif is a medical reference, comes in 30 volumes. Imagine, a huge reference, comes in 30 volumes. 10 of them are specialized in surgery. Number 3, Al-Qanun by Ibn Sina or Avicenna, and his name is known in Europe. Number 4 and 5, Al-Tadhkira by Al-Kahal and Al-Manazir by Ibn al-Haytham. The last 2 references are specialized in the diseases of the eye and the ophthalmology. They are very specialized references. So we have general references and we have specialized references in every field of science, even the divisions of the medical branch. These are some translations of Avicenna book of Ibn Sina, Al-Qanun, another translation. A lot of translations, actually it's very well known in Europe and in anyone who works in the field of science or the field of medicine. Regarding astronomy and Islamic civilization, we developed the astrolabe. Astrolabe is an instrument you can determine with the movement of the stars and the planets very accurately. We can calculate the times of the eclipse of the moon and sun, and also we can calculate the length of the solar year. This is a picture of the astrolabe. It comes in different sizes. This is actually a small size, but in our civilization there is an astrolabe in the size of this room, huge astrolabe to determine very accurately the time of movement of the planets and stars. And look to the Al-Battani calculation of the solar year. Al-Battani, one of the major scholars of astronomy in the Islamic civilization, he calculated the solar year at 365 days, 5 hours, 46 minutes and 32 seconds. And nowadays, by our modern equipment, the solar year is calculated as 365 days, 5 hours and 48 minutes and 46 seconds. So the difference after 1,000 years of work and science is only 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Imagine. Very strange actually, and very good achievement during this era. Regarding chemistry in Islamic civilization, actually we introduced this branch to the world. Before Islam, there is no chemistry. just chemical equations to try to convert cheap metals into gold and silver. And of course, all of the scholars tried that, failed in this trial. Till Jabir ibn Hayyan came. Jabir ibn Hayyan, one of the major scholars in our Islamic civilization, he introduced the concept of chemistry. He built this branch of science, do a lot of equations and a lot of successful tests, and invented a lot of inventions using his chemical equations. And he was well known in Europe to the degree that the branch of chemistry was known in Europe as Jabir's work. Jabir's work. For years and years before the term chemistry is used, this branch of science was known as Jabir's work. Jabir ibn Hayyan. Jabir's work. He introduced or he developed the glass. The glass actually is first invented in China, and he was able to develop this glass to convert the cheap glass, the green glass, into crystal clear glass. And also the crystal, well known nowadays, the crystal is an Islamic invention introduced by Abbas ibn Firnas, may Allah bless him, one of the scholars of Andalus. Also, Jabir ibn Hayyan was able to manufacture papers resistant to fire 1300 years ago. And he used these papers to write Al-Quran Al-Karim, the most important reference that we have. He wrote this book on the papers that resist fires to protect Al-Quran Al-Karim. And he was able also to manufacture water-resistant fabrics and use it to make raincoats, to use it 1300 years ago, resistant to water. And he was able also to calculate the specific weight for many minerals very, very accurately. Regarding geography in Islamic civilization, I'll show you a map, amazing map actually. The first drawing of an accurate map of the world, drawn 1000 years ago by Al-Idrisi. Al-Idrisi is a very famous scholar specialized in geography. He drew this map 1000 years ago. Look to the map. He drew the world, Africa, Europe, Asia, from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, including Mediterranean Sea, Indian Ocean, Red Sea, Black Sea. Look to the details of Spain, Andalus, France, Italy, England, and the whole Africa, and till the east shore of China. Imagine how a man in this era can draw a map like this. Not only that, he drew this map on a ball to prove to us that he knows that the earth is a ball. After the era of Al-Idrisi, by 300 years in Europe, when Galileo and Copernicus said that the earth is a ball and the earth circles around the sun, they imprisoned them. They put them under trial because they are doing research telling that the earth is a ball. But this fact was known by the Muslims 300 or 400 years before Europe. And he drew this map over a ball, like this. This is a map of Al-Idrisi. The old geographians used to draw the north down and the south up. And here is the east and here is the west. So to understand the picture, you have to flip it upside down, or you can stand on your head. So to be able to visualize the accuracy of the map. I'll make it easy for you. I'll flip it for you, like this. So this is this is the map of Al-Idrisi. Look to Africa, look to the Pacific Ocean, Indonesia, and I guess Japan is not here. At the time. ago. How this man can do this? SubhanAllah. And another amazing map drawn by Muhyiddin al-Rais al-Uthmani, one of the very famous scholars of geography in Ottoman Empire. And this map, before I show you this map is amazing even to NASA in the United States. They took the map and started to study how this man can draw this map. 500 years ago, Muhyiddin al-Rais died in 1513, 500 or more, 500 years ago. And he was able to draw a very, very accurate map to look to the east shore of North America and South America. 500 years ago, he died in 1513. Very detailed description of the east shore of North America, United States, of South America, till the south of South America. Even he showed in his map the Antarctica, the lower, the south pole of the earth. And it was very astonishing to NASA because he did not draw only a map, but also he described the animals and birds who live in every spot in this shore. This map comes in 80 maps. This one map of 80. They are discovered in Istanbul, in Turkey, and since this discovery, NASA is trying to solve the secret of these maps. We don't know till now how this man was able to draw this map and this accuracy. Of course, he has a huge team of workers that can make screening of the shore from the north to the south, and he was in the era of Christopher Columbus at the same time. But Christopher Columbus just arrived to the east shore of North America. He did not enter into details, he did not reach South America, but subhanAllah, Muhyiddin al-Rais did that with his team. Algebra is actually an Islamic invention too. The Al-Khwarizmi rahimahullah, one of the major scholars in our Islamic civilization too, he introduced this branch to the world. And this was in the 3rd Hijri century, 1100 years ago. Also, we introduced the number 0 in numbering. We are the first who use the 0 in numbering, and we are the inventors of the Arabic numerals. 1, 2, 3, 4 is an Islamic invention. It's not an English invention, actually. And it is known until now as the Arabic numerals. And we used the angles to shape these numbers. Look to the role of angles in shaping the Arabic numerals. Number 1 has 1 angle, and number 2 has 2 angles, 3 angles, so on, till 9 has 9 angles. Regarding architecture in Islamic civilization, look at the beauty of this mosque, the blue mosque in Istanbul in Turkey. And what's amazing in this picture is not only the beautiful appearance of the masjid, but also the difficult building of these huge domes. It was actually an invention by the Ottoman engineers. And I visited myself, I visited a church in Paris, in France, called Sacré-Cœur Church. Has a huge domes like the domes of the masjid of the Muslims, and it was written over the door of this church that they tried to imitate the domes of the Muslim masjids, but they failed, and they went to the Ottoman Empire and asked for assistance, and the Ottoman Empire sent 2 engineers from Turkey to Paris, to France, to to assist in building the huge domes of Sacré-Cœur Church. This is a castle in Morocco, huge castle on Morocco, Maghreb. This is the largest mosque in the world in Cordoba. Cordoba Mosque. It's the largest house of worship in general, largest than any masjid, largest than any church in the world. Unfortunately, this masjid is converted nowadays into church, and not most, but all the masjids of Muslims in Andalus are converted into churches after the invasion of the Crusaders to Andalus, unfortunately. These are one of the miracles of architecture in the world, the Cordoba Bridge. This bridge was built in the era of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, 1300 years ago, and still active till now. And this is Alhambra Palace. And this is Masjid, the right picture is the Masjid of Alhambra Palace. And you can see the crosses over the Masjid. They converted the Masjid into a church too. It was a phenomenon actually. And this is a Masjid in Lahore in Pakistan. And this is a miracle of Islamic civilization, Taj Mahal in India. Regarding industry in Islamic civilization, we are very, very developed in industry. Industry of paper, of course, is very developed in our civilization. Industry of sugar, we produce sugar to Europe. Industry of textile. And industry of ice. We are able to sensitize ice in this hot weather. And one of the caliphs of Abbasian state, when he went to pilgrimage from Baghdad to Mecca, he carried with him ice from Baghdad to Mecca. He was able to maintain the ice in its icy form for this long distance in the hot desert. Also, we are very developed in the industry of dyes, very accurate and permanent dyes. Look to the high quality of paints. These pictures are drawn 1200 years ago and still preserve the colors of each detail. Look at the beauty of this masjid, Sulaymaniya in Istanbul, in Turkey. The color dome still preserving the same colors. And let us imagine the Cordoba city at 350 Hijri, 1000 years ago. Let us imagine this huge city contains 28 counties, 13,000 houses, and has 500,000 or more than 500,000 residents. And it comes in the second rank regarding population in the world after the first city, Baghdad. Baghdad has residents exceeding 3 million. Number one in the world. The second one, the Muslim city, Cordoba, 500,000 residents, and the third city in the world in population is also a Muslim city, Seville or Ashbiliya in Andalus. Contains also a paved streets and lighted streets, specialized markets. There is no one market for the whole city. A lot of markets in the same city. Each market is specialized in some trades. One of the specialized for food, one for animals, one for birds, one for gold and silver, one for weapons, for books, for paper, and etc. And in one city we have 50 hospitals in one city, imagine. And this is an example of a city. We have a lot of cities like the city of Cordoba. And finally it contains, subhanAllah, 3,000 mosques. SubhanAllah, huge. city. 3,000 mosques, this means that between every 3 houses there is a mosque. 3 houses and a mosque. To make the Jama'ah prayer easy for everybody. You pray in mosque as if you are praying in your home. Very close to your room, actually. And of course, there is a huge mosque, Qurtuba Mosque, that gathered all the Muslims in Jama'ah prayer. They used to pray Jama'ah prayer in these small mosques, and they pray Jama'ah prayer in Qurtuba Mosque, the largest mosque in the world. And let us imagine vast city in Morocco and in Maghreb at 600 Hijri century, 800 years ago. It was specialized in industry. Look to this city, contains more than 3,000 textile factories. It's one city, more than 3,000 textile factories, 47 soap factories, 86 leather factories, 116 dye factories, 12 iron and copper factories, 11 glass factories, 188 pottery factories, and 400 paper mills. All of these in one city. And this is a testimony of Robertrand Russell, the English historian, famous English historian. He said, from India to Spain, the brilliant civilization of Islam flourished. What was lost to Christendom at this time was not lost to civilization, but quite the contrary. It means that even in the period of weakness of Islamic Ummah, civilization of Muslims are going up. And the science and knowledge has a very important role in building not only the Muslim Ummah, or the Muslim nation, but all the civilization in the whole mankind. In summary, brothers and sisters, civilization in Islam combines religious and scientific knowledge, combines material and spirit, builds factories and humans, and also combines the happiness in this world and the hereafter. Our mission after this journey is to understand our Islam. And our Islam is based, as you noticed in the lecture, on knowledge. And the ignorant ummah, the ignorant nation will never be leading to the others. And from day one, we know the importance of knowledge. And through the history of the Islam, the knowledge and science has a very great position, and this is why the Muslim Ummah was the Ummah number 1 in the world for years and years. And we have to practice our Islam. I know there is a huge gap nowadays between the Muslim Ummah and the others. We have a huge gap regarding science and regarding knowledge. And this is not in our deen, it's not in our religion. But we have to practice Islam to be leaders in knowledge, to be leaders in science, in every field of science. And I'm not meaning only the fields of fiqh and sharia and aqidah, they are very, very important, but also in the fields of geometry, medicine, geography, astronomy, and every field of science. And we need to reread our history. I think most of us knows very little information about every name mentioned in this lecture. I just opened the door. I gave 1 slide only on chemistry and 2 slides or 3 on geography and so and etc. But we need actually a lot of years to study one branch of science or one branch achievement of Muslims in this aspect. And this is only the scientific aspect in Islamic history. We have a moral aspect of our Islamic civilization. We have an economic aspect of our Islamic civilization. We have a social aspect of our Islamic civilization. A lot of achievements in every field of life. And lastly, we have to teach the others about the history of our nation or our ummah. They took an idea about our ummah from the media, and we have to change this appearance or this picture through the studying, good studying, and accurate studying, and authentic studying of our Islamic history. How can we transfer this information, brothers and sisters, to the others? And when I mean the others, I mean the Muslims and non-Muslims. Most of us actually do not know our Islamic history. We know, as I mentioned, less than 10% of our Islamic history. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with a huge project. I started, alhamdulillah, in Egypt, in Cairo, which is a web site. I named it islamstory.com. And this website is specialized in Islamic history. From the day one, from the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, life of the companions, of the scholars, everything about the details, description of our achievements in the field of science, in the field of manners, in the field of treaties, in the field of battles, in every field of domain in life. We describe, alhamdulillah, this in this project, and why we choose the internet as a tool to inform the others about our Islamic history, because actually the internet is fastly growing. If you look to the history of the internet started in the world in 1992. The users of internet in 1992 is only 4 million. And nowadays in 2007 and 2008, the number exceeds 1 billion users per year. And it is expected in 2010 to exceed 1.6 billion users per year. Imagine. So we can invade every house in the world by our data, our Islamic history, our beautiful Islam, by using this magnificent tool, the internet. The top 10 languages in the web, of course, number 1 is the English, followed by Chinese, then Spanish, then Japanese language. It comes in the 4th rank. 88 million Japanese are using the internet by the Japanese language. And it's very, very important to translate our work into the other languages. And we need your support. You are here in Japan. I know it's difficult to translate to Japanese language, especially from Arabic. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us with the translation of our website from Arabic to English. So now it's easy to translate the site from English to Japanese language. Not certainly you do it by yourself, but you have friends, you have connections here in Japan. We need to introduce our Islamic history, our nice Islamic civilization to the others by this translation. Spanish translation, alhamdulillah, is going on. Spanish is the third language because South America, most of South America are speaking Spanish language. Top 20 countries in the world using internet. Number 1 is USA, followed by China, then Japan is the number 3 in the world using internet. And in these 20 countries, you will find only two Muslim countries. I guess number Indonesia, number cam. I guess 11 or 12. And 14, and Turkey 16, 17. Yeah, Turkey is 17. Inshallah, we hope the Muslims are using the internet more and more, and introducing our Islam, our religion, and our history, and our manners, everything in the internet to be available to everyone in the world. Visitors of our webpage, alhamdulillah, are increasing with the time. Also, the page is viewed by our page, alhamdulillah, is also increasing by our visitors. These are the countries visiting our site in November 2007. For example, more than 100 countries. So you put an information in one place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take it and spread it everywhere in the world. And this is map overlay of the users of our website. The darker the green, the more the use of the internet. The most dark actually is Egypt. Alhamdulillah, the site is well known in Egypt. We started, alhamdulillah, marketing, especially in the United States, and the using of the internet in the United States is excessive, alhamdulillah. Also in Morocco, Algeria, and Gulf area, and after that in the whole world, as you see. Japan is using, actually. Alhamdulillah, we translated the project into English language. And the English version is islamstory.net, not .com. And inshallah, after 2 months, we'll combine both of them in islamstory.com. And the French translation is going on, as well as Spanish, Italian, and German translations. And the French translation is taken care by some of our sisters in Paris, in France. They took the responsibility of translating the project into French language. And alhamdulillah, I'll carry to you glad tidings of starting translation into Chinese language, and it started in Malaysia. Some of our brothers in Malaysia are interested in translating this site into Chinese language. This is a new design for Arabic version. And this is the design of the English version. And this is another site we developed 2 years ago, elsergani.com. It contains all of my lectures and books and talks. You can download anything as you want and spread it everywhere as you want, with no copyrights. How can I help? How can we help actually? We can help by translating the site into any language, but contact us to send you the material, because we are not translating the whole Arabic site, because the whole Arabic site is huge. We already completed the first part in the Arabic site. The first part only is 10,000 pages. So it's huge. And it's consisted of 10 parts. So it's exceeded, inshallah, 100,000 pages in a 10-year plan, inshallah. And we translated 1,000 pages into English, and we are using this site to be, this version to be translated into another language. So if you have any capability to translate to any language, just contact us through islamstory.com and tell us, I can translate into Urdu, into Hindi, into Japanese, into English, and we, inshallah, appreciate your help and your assistance. Also, you can suggest new ideas. You can enter the web and send us your suggestions, send us your advice, your comments, your criticism, no problem, and we appreciate any help by any idea. Also, you can participate in the project if you have an idea about the history. Even some of the brothers in Osaka volunteered to collect for us the history of Muslims in Japan. And you can do it. We cannot do it there in our countries, but you can do it here. And you can do it by talking with the population and talking with the Muslims and gathering the materials and so on. And one of our brothers in Hiroshima, alhamdulillah, will bring to us the history of Muslims in Korea. He was in Korea and he knows the history of the Muslims there. And so alhamdulillah, the project is expanding, and the Muslims together will make a huge success, inshallah. And lastly, you can help by spreading the word and idea, to inform the others about the site, to make the site your homepage, to enter every day and take information out of our data and spread it to your children, to your society, to your brothers and sisters, to your companions in your work, Muslims and non-Muslims. Spread the word, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all of us. Lastly, brother, jazakumullah khair. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make these minutes in our scale. I appreciate your invitation. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very, very much. Dr. Ragheb. Well, we've gone through, let's say, about 1 hour of lecture, and I can see from all of us that the interest hasn't really declined. We even wished for more, but as the saying goes, there is time for everything. And I guess my brothers and sisters also listen very carefully, and each one of us must have a point or a question to make. So, on this note, I would say, let's open the floor for questioning. If anyone has any question or any idea to give, the floor is open. All right.
Okay.
Can you come forward, please?
Easy question, please.
It's just about the Library of Alexandria. Can you say something about this, please?
Okay. Library of Alexandria was a Greek library built in Alexandria, a huge library actually, in every field of science too, but it's not open to the public. It's only for the scholars. It contains book. Actually, the general population are deprived of any knowledge in any country in the world, in any civilization, except some scholars who went to the library and who knows how to read and write. So the concept of public library to be open for the population to go free and read what you want is an Islamic invention actually. I'm not exaggerating if I said the Europeans did not know their scholars except through Muslims. We have a lot of books and they are ignorant in reading. They cannot read. They cannot reach these books until Muslims came and started to translate the work of the elders, the work of other civilizations. And from the Arabic translation, they translated the Arabic language into Latin language. The Europe started to know Socrates and Platon, Euclides, Pythagoras and Janinos, and the other scholars of Greek and Roman civilization. So I said, we are the first to open the door for the population. And we took this from our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, طلب العلم فريضة على من؟ على كل Muslim. So to seek knowledge is an obligation on every Muslim. So this is a new concept for the world. Allahu Akbar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Sure.
For this nice lecture. My question maybe it's a little bit far from the main topic of the lecture, but also it can be associated. Basically, most of the civilizations have two wings, the material wing and the moral wings. Does the Islamic now, so far we have explained many things about the materials, of course science and so on. But what about the relationships between the Muslims themselves and the relationships with Muslims and non-Muslims? Most of those cities were also, there were non-Muslims living beside the Muslims. So what was the relationship?
And actually the topic is inside the lecture. The question is inside, it's not outside. Muslims, alhamdulillah, has no sensitivity to deal with others. And we, from the day 1 to, we are dealing with the Jews in the Medina, and we're dealing with the Mushriks, with the disbelievers in every way, as long as they are not fighting Muslims. And we have no sensitivity to translate the work of the others and to build our science over the work of the others after saying in a clear honesty that they are doing that and I am doing that. We translated the work of Greek and Persian, Indian, Egyptian civilizations, and we built over this knowledge or science our civilization. And after this, we started to teach the others our civilization. We accepted scholarships from everywhere in the world from Muslims and non-Muslims to come to our countries, to our universities, to study and to learn in our universities. And I remember a very important message sent from George II, who was the King of England. He sent a message to Hisham III, who is the governor of Andalus. He asking him to accept 4 of the scholars of England to be to learn in Cordoba University, and he signed the letter by your servant, your humble servant, the King of England, George II. Imagine. And we accept from everywhere. So we are taking from the others and we are giving the others. With no sensitivity, especially in this issue, the issue of science and the issue of knowledge, and also this Islamic conception. Because before Islam, all civilizations are closed. You know, the Greek civilization are closed to the Greeks. China civilization, Chinese knowledge and science are closed to the Chinese, and so on. But we are open to the others. The concept of openness to the others are an Islamic production to the world, and alhamdulillah, we have no sensitivity in dealing with others. Today we talk about the scientific aspect of Islamic civilization. We need more lectures about the moral aspect of Islamic civilization, about the dealing of Muslims with the non-Muslims, about the morals of war in Islam, about the dealing of Muslims with the captives, prisoners of war. In every field we have, alhamdulillah, a great success and achievement.
Actually, not only our Muslim scientific or scholars, they only not reserving their science for the science and science, but also they was reserving the knowledge and science for our religion. This kind of science have never happened in other religion before, like Christianity or Jews. They never, between the Jesus and her companion, there are maybe 300 years of gap between the person who's saying who translating or writing the message of Jesus, maybe more than 300 years. But in our Islam, every word the Prophet ﷺ wrote was written and scientifically authentic by the scholars and the people. This kind of science also was not only for the pure science going on, but also for our religion. So both is going together, not only this one. Actually, I was adding this point only for this.
There are some. Can you make this more? It's all right. It's. I believe everybody can hear me. Just seeing you talk. First of all, thank you very much for the interesting talk. And in the talk you said like zero was made by Arabs, but there are some Indians. They claim that it's made by. It was invented by Indians.
Which?
Zero. The number zero.
Zero. Oh yeah, zero.
Yeah, there are some Indians. They say it's actually it was invented by Indians. And how will you defend that?
So we divide the zero between us.
And the second question, which is, I believe, it's very important, because we are the nation of read, and as you said, the first verse that was actually inspired to the Prophet Muhammad was Jesus. But we are the nation of read that doesn't read. What happened to us with all of these achievements that our ancestors did?
Very important comment. Number one.
Number zero.
Question number one. We believe that the Muslims are the inventors or the adder of the zero in numbering, and we have the authentic reference for this. And any other one who claims that the zero is a Chinese invention or Indian invention or what, so what? He should bring the document and the authentic reference that he is the inventor of this invention.
What's the authentic reference you have for this?
We have a lot actually of authentic references in the writing of Khwarizmi and in the writing of Al-Karhi. one of the major scholars in mathematics. And these are very old writings, actually, maybe more than 1,000 years. And we don't know any authentic reference in the Chinese or Indian civilization that precede the period of 1,000 years regarding the zero numbering. And it is an issue. We can discuss it in the, in the scientific debates regarding this issue, and we accept to give the credit to those who invented first. Number two is very important, actually. Why we are not reading now, and what's behind this huge gap between the history and the present? And actually, I mentioned in the lecture when the Tatar invaded Baghdad, they took the books from Baghdad's library and threw the books into the Dijla River. And when Crusaders invaded Cordoba, they took the books and burned the books in the squares of Cordoba. When they invaded Tripoli, they did the same. It was a habit, it was a phenomenon to deprive this ummah from knowledge. Every enemy entered our countries, the first thing to do is to take the knowledge and burn this knowledge, or to get rid of this knowledge by any means. And European armies who invaded our countries in the 19th and 20th centuries were more smart. They took what left from our books and history and took it to their countries and deprived us too from our knowledge. So we have to start from the scratch, start from zero. They deprived us from all of our books, and this causes a huge gap between the history of the Muslims and the present time of the Muslims. And let us imagine an enemy came to any country in the world, to Japan, to England, to United States, and took every book in the country and burned them. And the new generation has to start from zero. It's a very huge shock to this country. This is number one. This is the cause number one. Number two, the bad understanding of the Muslims to the word knowledge. Sometimes we understand the word knowledge that came in the Quran as the knowledge of religious sciences or divisions of knowledge only. Fiqh, Sharia, Aqidah, and so on. And we don't add to this concept understanding the science of medicine, geometry, geography, and every field of science. And this is very limited thinking and very limited way of understanding of our Islam. This is why I said the first important role in our mission is to understand our Islam. My grandfathers, our grandfathers understood Islam in this way, and they are clever and leader and top leader in every field of science in the world. This is why they were number one in the world. In this lecture, alhamdulillah, we put our hands on the tools and ways that a Muslim ummah can convert from a weak ummah into a powerful ummah. It starts with knowledge. We had a chance here in Japan. All of us, I think most of us, came to study, came to do research, came to grasp something from the knowledge of this country, and we have to convey the message to our countries. We have to rebuild our Muslim nation. We have to take the advantage as our grandfathers take the advantage of other civilization, and to reconvert our situation into a powerful situation by this science and this knowledge. So I invite everybody to come back after doing his research and after grasping the major achievements in each branch of science. Allah. Last question.
Okay, bro, maybe we even have to have the last question. Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, like you highlighted about the contribution of like Al-Khwarizmi in the definition of zero. So in my knowledge, Al-Khwarizmi comes from the area of Khwarizm in Turkmenistan, which is a former Soviet republic, which is not an Arabic republic. So like one thing that most of the non-Arabic scholars that I've heard about, this point and other points, they don't say that it's non-Islamic invention. They say that it was invented by mixed races of Arabs and non-Arabs living in India, in the region of Turkmenistan, and maybe in Persia and some other republics. So like, because the non-Muslims didn't want to call it Islamic numerals, this is why they started calling it Arabic numerals. And also like my basic question basically is towards contribution of non-Arab people in Islamic history.
Yeah.
Like we know that Khwarizmi came from the region of Khwarizm in Turkmenistan. Similarly, Bukhari came from Uzbekistan, Bukhara, the region of Bukhara. These people have enormous contribution. Could you highlight like a little bit more about this issue, about contribution of non-Arab Muslims?
Excellent, yeah. Very, very excellent comment. Actually, I did not mention Arabic scholars in my lecture, even a single time. I used to say Islamic scholars. So they are Islamic, not only Arabic. And of course, it's a fact that 80%, without any exaggeration, 80% of our scholars are not Arabic. And 80% or 90% or more of our leaders are not Arabic. This is Islamic history. Actually, they are, if you revise with me, after the era of companions, most of them are Arabic. But after the era of companions, Salah ad-Din as the leaders, Salah ad-Din, Nur ad-Din Mahmud, Ahmad ad-Din Zinki, Muhammad al-Fatih, Qutuz, Al-Arslan, who else? Tariq ibn Ziyad. Most of them actually are not Arabic. So we are honored by Islam, who changes the people and make them defend the religion because they are Muslims, not because their origin. Yusuf ibn Tashfin is not Arabic too. Abu Bakr ibn Amr al-Lamtun. The major names in our Islamic history are not Arabic. And regarding the science or the branch of Hadith, the major 6 books in Hadith are Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, An-Nasa'i, Ibn Majah. These are 5 non-Arabic, and 1 Abu Dawood is Arabic. So the same ratio, about 85% are not Arabic. So we need to dissolve this sensitivity between Arabic and non-Arabic. We are Muslims. We have a religion, one God, one curriculum, one Quran, one goal, and we go inshallah to one paradise. Inshallah. So we need to put hand in hand and to build our Islamic nation together. And alhamdulillah, additions of non-Arabic to the science and to the religion knowledge and to every field of science actually is tremendous, and we admit that everywhere. But I advise, I invite you to learn Arabic. Not because we are Arabic, but because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose this language for Quran. When He talked to us, He talked to us with the Arabic language, subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why those who can read Arabic can understand more and more in Quran and Sunnah. And when Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Al-Tirmidhi, Al-Nasa'i, Ibn Majah helped us to understand our Prophet's hadith, they learned first Arabic, then they were able to assist us in understanding of our religion. everybody of us actually do a lot of effort to understand the language that he is dealing with in his life. All of us studied English, and some of us are studying Japanese language. It's very difficult. However, we do it. Why? To live in this country, to deal with the others. And I invite everybody to spend some time to learn Arabic, to understand better and better and better, inshallah, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody for being present today on behalf of ICCS, and we thank very much Dr. Ragheb Al-Sirjani for this incredible, beautiful topic that covered the span of Islamic history briefly. What I would like to add briefly is the lesson we should really take from bringing this topic to light, which is science and the knowledge and knowing and read and recite what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, recite and read, is that we have to, Ustad Mahmoud, he was talking about bridging, the point of bridging science and the religious aspects of knowledge. What Dr. Ragheb was talking about earlier, how we in Islamic history has been separated. When we think about science and Islamic science, we are always concentrating on the fact that we have to study fiqh, and we have to study sunnah, and we have to study tafsir, exegesis of the Quran. So we have these giants that we have in our history. These giants, they jumped on chemistry, on geology, on biology, on every single aspect of science, not afraid and not constrained by their religious beliefs, not constrained by any sect or beliefs or any kind of Ustad Yasar is talking about Arabic or non-Arabic. There was never a single point or single problem about Arabs or non-Arabs. We're talking about Uqba ibn Nafi', we're talking about Tariq ibn Ziyad, we're talking about Ibn Majah, we're talking about all these giant Muslims. Okay, so what I would like Dr. Najib to do with his incredible work, and I would like to see it in the future, is to really play a strong bridge, a bridge to enlighten the Muslim history. What should we do with the Islamic heritage? I think most of us know clearly about the Muslim heritage, but what should we do with it today? That's a matter of fact. It's incredibly, and I feel so sorry sometimes to walk into a mosque like this, and any mosques from, I went to Morocco, Egypt, Seattle, United States, Turkey, Spain, not a single scientific book in any single mosque, including this mosque. If we go around this library, we have not a single Muslim scientific book. So all we are teaching our kids, we are teaching them only religious.
We have one.
Okay, one. I just want to encourage from now on, whoever lends his hand on any Muslim scientific pamphlet. We receive so many free pamphlets here coming from Saudi Arabia, from any country. Not a single one talks about what Dr. Ragheb, for example, talked about. It's nothing but regurgitation. He said, and we are familiar with this topic. So, without further ado, we thank again Dr. Ragheb for blessing us with this lecture, and we thank you very much, and we hope to see you again. Thank you.
Brother Sato is there.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay, finally, our president managed to be with us. And I think it will just be not very okay if we don't allow him to say a word. So I will ask Brother Sato. Yeah. Please, can you come forward and no one yet. It's okay? Okay, I understand. Yes. Well, I think finally we all have to thank Dr. El Sagani He's given us a very insightful topic today. And I think each one of us is going to ponder over it very well. As I can gather from the topic today, I can sum it up only in a very simple sentence. That means the importance of knowledge in Islam is very indispensable. We cannot really separate our faith from knowledge. And it's also very important to learn our history so that we don't repeat the mistakes that, warranted the loss of this huge, history. There might be something that happened, and that's why we've had this big gap between the Asian civilization, which was championed by Muslims. But then we see this present generation where, we have nothing to write about. And just to reinforce what he's been hammering on, I think we really have to think about joining hand in hand the teachings of religion and also the teachings of other aspects of knowledge. Because I know some countries, my country for example, you look at the hierarchy of governance or the business structure, and you realize that most of the top echelons are non-Muslims. Although we have a large population of Muslims, the reason has been that our fathers thought taking children to school is going to deprive them of being Muslims. So they would rather not take them into these schools, and they felt giving them only religious education was enough. Somehow, the effect is being seen today. We don't see Muslims in the upper echelons of governance. And I think that is one thing which we have to avoid. At least, if we are able to reach such heights, our voices can be heard. And whatever we say, I'm sure no one is going to ignore it. So it's a very important topic today, and I thank Dr. once again, and I think we may have to draw the curtain here as Brother the retired, and on his behalf, I will say thank you very much, Dr. once again. But as we started with a recitation from the Quran, I would like us also to end with a prayer. And then,
6:30.
Okay.
It's okay?
Alright, okay. Yeah, Doctor, I think you are the right person to end it with a dua for us.
اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الاولين
آمين.
صل عليه في الاخرين
آمين.
صل عليه في الملأ الاعلى الى يوم الدين
آمين.
اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت بارك لنا يا ربنا فيما اعطيت اللهم قنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت اللهم قنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت اللهم ارحمنا فانك بنا رحم ولا تعذبنا فانت علينا قادر اطلب بنا يا مولانا فيما جرت به المقادير اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم باسماعنا وابصارنا وقواتنا ابدا ما ابقيتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثارنا على من ظلمنا وانصرنا على من عادانا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا اكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا تجعل إلى النار مصيرنا واجعل الجنة هي دارنا ومستقرنا اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين اللهم اربط على قلوب الموحدين اللهم وحد رايات المسلمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى اللهم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.